Clover and her friends are trying to track down Clover's long lost sister who has been missing for a year. But during this search, they find themselves trapped in an infinite loop of death, fear, and despair. And their only way out is to survive until dawn. Film fans YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Josh, your Movie Apprentice, and today I am very excited to be talking about Until Dawn, directed by David F. Sandberg, starring the talents of Ella Rubin, Michael Cimino, and Peter Stormare. I am going to offer up front that I am a huge fan of the game, as well as the Dark Pictures anthology and The Quarry. I love this storytelling of every little decision you make can possibly result in the death of one of a number of characters. And Until Dawn had this unenviable task of doing a story that isn't exactly like the game, because the game was going to be impossible to adapt. If you were to adapt the game straight to screen, there would be questions of which of these 8 characters we have grown to bond with get killed off, what kills we honor, what gets honored in terms of the narrative structure, the way it shifts from a slasher movie to a creature feature in the second half of a video game. So the film does not do a direct rip of the game. Instead, the film pays homage to the game with various Easter eggs and creatures and individuals, whilst telling its own story based within that world. And that will either work for you or not work for you. I know there's a number of people that love the game that are disappointed this isn't a direct rip of the game, but I argue that it was genuinely impossible for them to adapt the game straight to screen, because the game has so many different outcomes in terms of when characters die, when they live, if they make it. Telling this original idea within that world makes sense. And I will say the concept of this Groundhog's Day element of them dying and slowly going insane after dying so many times to creatures direct from the game, from Joshua's slasher killer to the Wendigos, all that I thought was really well done, and there was some very creative kills in there. And I love the Easter eggs from Dr. Hill himself, played by Peter Stormare, like he was in the games. He is great in this, creepy as always. He was a highlight of the games for me, this creepy psychiatrist. There was all this otherworldly element of him when it's revealed in the game, which, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk a bit about the game here, where it's revealed that you are Joshua Washington, played by Rami Malek in the game, and he is confronting you about the torture that you are putting your friends through. So there was a level of supernatural elements to that, because Joshua, if you finish the game, either becomes a Wendigo or dies horribly. So there's no way he would be within this office unless there's something supernatural going on. And they play with that in this one, as Dr. Hill is sort of this entity that preys on the fear of their subject. I'm giving this a lot of praise, but mark my words, is this a good movie? Not really. And that's a shame, because David F. Sandberg has done great with previous horrors. I thought Lights Out was a very underrated horror movie, and Annabelle Creation for me is the best of the 3 Annabelle features. The way he shoots these films is really well done, and I did like how the lighting really matched with the game as well. Like, the aesthetic and flavor was there. But the thing is, this film, despite trying to tell its original story, doesn't utilize its premise to the fullest potential. For one, getting it out of the way, the characters, there's not a single one that I really like. The close one might be the one that has some sort of psychic abilities, but even she doesn't really have much development. None of the characters have any development. The film spends too much time focusing on how you can kill these characters in creative ways that it forgets to really flesh out the characters and really utilize and take advantage of the premise, because these characters, they know how they died previously, and there are moments that could have led to a bit of drama, like the initial killing, the first time they were all killed off. There's one character that is being killed in front of another one of them, and they are begging for their help, and that character doesn't step in until that person's already dead. It's on the plate right there to have that character who was killed have a bit of a grudge against the person that did do anything until it was too late for them. There could have been confrontation to happen there. There's even scenes where one does kill another one, There is no drama, there is no grudge, and there is a full-blown time skip of mini short films that fill in the gaps to really push us towards the end of the constant killing Groundhog's Day that takes place. And for me, it lacks any semblance of character and emotional investment, and some small bits that it takes from the game that I don't like. For example, is the revelation of what happened to the sister they are looking for. If you've played the game, you can probably piece it together. It's exactly what happens to Hannah in Until Dawn. At least in the game, you had time with Hannah, you had time with his other sister, you got to know his characters slightly. There was investment to be had there. And when we got to the revelation of what had happened to Joshua's two sisters, that in itself was a strong moment in the game. And that does not translate very well to this one. I don't like making so many comparisons, but the fact that it does directly rip that key element from the game and tells it in a weak way here, it's just a bit of a letdown for me. This is a film that honors the game in its Easter eggs and Dot the Hill and the setting, the sound design of the Wendigos, the design of the slasher. There are so many things about the original game this film honors, but it tries to tell its own story, but doesn't really commit to its own story and kind of gets trapped in this limbo between honoring the game and doing its own thing. And that worked against the film in a big way for me. If the characters were just a bit more memorable, I might have ranked this a bit higher. At least in the original Until Dawn, whilst I won't say all the characters are great, they're at least memorable. Christian Astley, love them. Joshua Washington is great. Emily, for better or worse, has her detractors and has some of the most gruesome deaths. Mike has quite the growth throughout the game's runtime. There are several characters that I can think off the top of my head in that game that just stick out as memorable to me. In this one, we have Clover and we have Abe, I think the douche's name is, but I couldn't really tell you the other names of the characters in this. There's not a whole lot to them. It's very much just, let's get some teens together, put them in a spook house, and see how creatively we can kill them. And there are some creative kills in this, but it doesn't fully utilize its premise when it comes to drama and tension. And that, for me, made some more pivotal moments feel very lackluster. Before I get into my grade, if you like seeing on the channel, click the like button and subscribe for more video reviews that's coming all the time. Without further ado, let's grade this one. Until Dawn, I was excited for this one. Wasn't expecting anything too big from it because, quite frankly, it was going to be impossible to ever adapt the game properly. So it took the right approach in trying to tell its own story within that world of Until Dawn. But for me, I just don't think that Until Dawn hit the mark, and it gave us some very weak characters, really missed the boat when it came to taking advantage of the premise. The way it just does a big time skip to get us to that final act, it was very cheap and very lazy and teases us with some great mini short stories that could have been great in a nice 2.5 hour long feature. But it feels like they were forced to cram it into this 1.5 hour runtime, and for me, it doesn't work as well as it probably could have. But for me, I'm gonna have to say that Until Dawn is an okay cup of tea, but I will admit bias on that one because it wasn't based on a property that I love, and I didn't really enjoy Easter eggs that they did throw in there to the source material. This would have got a lukewarm cup of tea or too much milk rating, but because those little Easter eggs and little moments gave me a nice feeling inside, it bumps it up to an okay cup of tea. That is the maximum it was ever going to get from me. It could have been a lot more, but alas, we will always have the game. I strongly recommend the games, and even the Dark Pages Anthology and the Quarry. Play these games, they are a lot of fun and very tense the first time through as well. Until next time, everybody, my name is Josh, I've been your Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next video.